What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Heroes of Might and Magic 5 video. Today we are doing all of the Inferno creatures and all of their abilities and everything like that. So please do not forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out all the other factions, whether it's heroes, creatures still going, my dual mode series, all of my tier lists for towns and creatures and everything like that, and custom games as well. So be sure to like and subscribe and be here for all of the Heroes of Might and Magic 5 content you could ever want or need. So starting with tier 1, the Imp for Inferno here. Demonic is just something that all Inferno creatures have. They're just immune to chain shot. That's pretty much all it really means. A living creature, which again is what we saw for the Haven creatures. Obviously, most creatures in the entire game are living, except for some undead ones and some mechanical ones. But then the Imp, which I think is honestly a very strong utility, tier 1, is the Mana Destroyer. Create some of the enemy heroes. Destroy some of the enemy heroes' mana at the beginning of the creature's turn, which honestly, at any point in the game is super nice, especially early game if you're facing some imps, especially in an army, to lose that amount of mana, which honestly is quite a lot at the beginning, or even the middle of an entire fight is pretty nasty. Obviously, they only do this on the original first turn, and then after that they don't take any more. But it's definitely a high utility tier 1. And then the Familiar, which is my favorite of the upgrades, is the Mana Stealer. So takes more at the beginning, and it depends on the obviously amount of creatures you have, but also gives it to your hero. So definitely if you're running like a high magic build, this guy very early on, because his initiative is so high, is going to be able to take a good chunk of that enemy's mana and give it straight to your hero. And obviously that hero no longer has that mana, which I get later in the game is less effective, because you're still going to have a good chunk of mana, but still that amount, if you're in a big fight, that amount can drain obviously way faster, especially depending on how many imps you have. And anything before those late game fights, it's quite a fucking large amount. And then the Vermin just siphons it. So this really is basically just for your Pit Fiend. I mean, I'm being honest here. This is to give your Pit Fiend more ammo, more mana, because the only creature that has mana on your team is the Pit Fiend, which, don't get me wrong, is a great fucking creature. So giving them more fireballs is amazing, but I would say that they still have a good amount of fireballs in general, so I would rather give it to my hero. So that's why I would prefer the Familiar, and like I did with the Haven one, I'm going to show you which one I would choose as far as which upgrade I would prefer myself anyway. Then tier 2 Horned Demon. Demonic. Enrage is what we've seen again and again, and we will still see it. So anytime a friendly creature dies, they will get increased attack because of it. And then we got Horned Overseer, which I honestly don't like. I think it's definitely the worst of the two upgrades. Using this once per battle, the creature can explode all creatures in adjacent cells, making fire damage on them. So this is nice if you get up into enemy lines and shit, being able to explode a lot of creatures. But at the same time, because Horned Overseers are so few movement and so few initiative, that they're just not going to be able to get in there and do that, which I would prefer the Leap here, personally, just because it goes in, attacks the target from a massive amount of distance. This dude's movement is crazy from the Leap. 10% bonus for every tile as well, and then it can get double retaliated, as we see. It can't be used twice or anything like that, but at the same time, you're going to jump in and do a massive amount of damage to somebody, and then obviously that will open you up, but still being able to jump in and do a shit ton of damage on somebody is preferred than to wait to possibly get around multiple targets and do amount of damage to them. Alright, sorry about that. And then Mr. Hellhound here, lots of movement and everything like that, but doesn't do anything just for choosing the Hellhound. Cerberus is nice, you can hit no enemy retaliation whatsoever, which is huge for any creature. But then three-headed attack obviously can attack multiple enemies at once, so can attack up to 3 creatures standing essentially in any line, which is very nice, especially again no enemy retaliation. That's good for any unit in the game. But then Firehound basically just does all of that, no enemy retaliation, three-headed attack, and the fire breath, so not only the target in front of them but behind them, so you can hit up to like I don't think it actually goes to 6, but I guess it technically could. Either way, Fire Breath is definitely the Firehound is the preferred tier 3 upgrade for sure, just because obviously again hitting if, more than likely you're not going to have 3 people in a line, but still if you don't have 3 people in a line, 2 people behind each other, whatever, he's damaging for sure. Succubus, I think, is a super cool tier 4 unit. It's the only unit that does a ranged retaliation, as we see here. So somebody shoots her at range, she will actually retaliate to that person. Now this one does not have the chain hit, as we will see here in a moment, but I think that ranged retaliation is super cool. So again, somebody shoots her from range, she will retaliate on that person, which I think is super interesting for sure. But then the upgraded version actually still does that, but has the chain shot. So this will inflict damage to the target, whoever they're attacking, but then chain to 3 other targets and do half the damage from each one. And like I said, this is why there's essentially demonic creatures. It won't affect your own, which is very, very nice. So you're only going to hit up to, well, I guess up to technically 4 enemy creatures, which is nice. Now the amount of damage she does is definitely not there, but having a ranged retaliation is super good, and to hit multiple targets, she's definitely going to spread her damage out. And then we have the Seducer here, so still ranged retaliation, immune to Puppet Master. Now she doesn't have the chain attack, but she does have Seduction, so once per combat, able to gain control over an enemy creature. So it's I don't really like it necessarily. It's still good because you can obviously seduce that creature, but there are definitely a lot of things to it, as you're seeing here. I'm not gonna read all of that. It's just a crazy amount just for seduction. I personally like the chain attack better, just because it's going to be doing more damage than trying to mind control certain upgrades and everything like that. And the duration is affected, and it's too much and way too inconsistent compared to you have a ranged retaliation and being able to chain shot a fuck ton of people. Then we have a pretty solid tier 5 with Hell Charger. Definitely middle of the pack, not amazing, but definitely not bad at all. A large creature obviously takes up, but then Fear, anytime it attacks somebody, they turn and run. So it's it can be nice just to cause that effect, but I don't think it's anything insane. And then I believe the Nightmare essentially just does the same thing. Yeah, Fear and then Frightful Aura even on top of that, so their morale gets reduced by 3, which is pretty big, obviously, especially if you're facing living creatures and everything like that. So if you're around anybody, you're frightening them and you're causing fear from who you're attacking. So lots of effects here just being around that person. Still fear, and then searing aura. Once an enemy creature is within 1 tile range from this creature, takes a turn, it suffers fire damage. So if anybody's near it, they're suffering fire damage. So you're either going to get somebody suffering fire damage from being near this target or losing morale from being near the other one. I prefer this one. That's just me. There's really not a right or wrong choice. It's just preference. This one's going to do more damage, but this one is going to cause more aura effects. And then the Pit Fiend here, still demonic living and large, but then can cast. So Pit Fiend is definitely one of the better casting creatures in the game with fireballs. I actually don't know all of their other casts. I just just do fireball. There's no other choice to really choose from. The upgraded version still has that ability, but then Vorpal Sword, oh my god, Vorpal Sword. Each attack or counter attack by this creature is guaranteed to kill at least 1 unit in the enemy army. So if you are not doing fireballs, go after tier 7s, and you're guaranteed to kill a tier 7 every single time. And even on counter attacks, so obviously go out there and make tier 7s attack you if you can, and you're going to kill at least 1 unit every single time. So definitely a tier 7 killer. Now this other Pit Fiend, the Pit Spawn here, is magic proof, which is nice. Less damage to this creature from magic, so that's great. But then the Blade of Slaughter deals additional damage to each creature in target stack, 2 damage per creature. So you basically have a preference. Now this one does not cast, which I think is a huge downside. So this one is magic proof, which is very nice. Doesn't cast, which is bad, but basically what this is saying is compared to this Pit Fiend kills 1 unit per stack no matter what. So tier 7 killer essentially. This one, the Pit Spawn, how many creatures in the target stack is 2 damage per creature. So you're going to just smash through low level creatures that have a shit. You know, you got 1,000 fucking peasants, skeletons, whatever. This dude is going to do insanely increased damage on that compared to, you know, 10 fucking angels or 10 green dragons or whoever. This dude is going to rip through low tier units. So for me, I prefer this one. The fireball is just too good, and going through killing tier 7 is way more important to me than being magic proof, which is good for sure, but you're not guaranteed that somebody's going to cast magic on you, obviously. And then ripping through low tier creatures. So to me, 90% of the time low tier creatures are going to get ripped through anyway, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about ripping through the tier 7s. And then the final devil here, flyer, so you can actually, he's not, I mean, it says flyer, but he's actually more of a teleporter. So again, being able to go through past obstacles, castle walls, and stuff like that, which has a tier 7, is very, very good, very, very strong. The upgraded devil, all of that same stuff, and then can simply summon pit lords. This is still gating, so if that unit, if everybody dies and the pit lords that you summon with this devil are still alive, you will still lose. But still, being able to summon some pit lords is very nice. Summon more tier 6s is a solid thing to do, and it only takes 1 turn, so it's quick and easy compared to other. So teleport other. Target any creature stack within its movement range, regardless of its own, and teleport them to an unoccupied tile that is closest to himself. So this can obviously help you get some creatures to you, but I don't really think it's super useful. Honestly, both devils don't really have great abilities in my opinion. That one is is nothing amazing to me. I mean, I guess you could pull a good ranged unit to the middle of the map essentially, which can be super good. So I guess this one is technically better than summoning pit lords, but it's kind of just up to you. So that is where I would choose my people. This is obviously Inferno again, so please don't forget to like and subscribe. We will be going over every single faction's creatures like we did with all their heroes as well, so check those out, the dual mode series, the tier lists, and everything like that, and we will hopefully see you guys in the next one. Hello?
Hello.